did turn out to be. So he watched me. He didn't let me do any of those things, whatever. I mean, I can't think what they are now, but...
Before the applause faded and the studio lights went dark, Mary Tyler Moore left behind a truth that startled even those closest to her. America remembered her as warm, gracious, and endlessly likable, the woman who made independence look elegant and heartbreak survivable. But behind that carefully maintained composure was a sharp memory and an unforgiving honesty. In her final years, Mary quietly named 5 actors she despised the most. Not rumors, not gossip, names. These were people the public adored, men and women viewers trusted, laughed with, and welcomed into their homes every week. Mary stayed silent for decades because she understood Hollywood's rules. Speak too soon, and the industry turns on you. But time has a way of loosening tongues and sharpening truths. What she revealed wasn't petty resentment. It was a verdict shaped by ego, cruelty, and betrayal behind the scenes. And once you hear who made that list, you'll never watch classic television the same way again, especially when you learn who tops it. For Mary Tyler Moore, professionalism was not a performance. It was a code. She arrived early. She knew her lines. She respected the crew, and she expected the same in return. In an industry built on ego and improvisation, that alone made her dangerous. Mary did not scream, threaten, or posture. She judged silently, and she never forgot. Behind her famously warm smile was a woman who cataloged behavior, patterns, and disrespect with almost surgical precision. What many co-stars mistook for politeness was actually restraint. Mary believed television entered people's homes, and anyone careless with that responsibility didn't deserve the privilege. As her power grew through the Dick Van Dyke Show and later the Mary Tyler Moore Show, so did the tension. Not everyone appreciated being held to her standards. Some resented it. Others felt exposed by it. Mary didn't clash loudly. She withdrew emotionally, and that withdrawal spoke volumes. Over time, those quiet judgments hardened into something deeper. By the late 1972, she had a private list, not of rivals, but of actors whose behavior violated her sense of integrity. These were not small slights. They were moments when masks slipped, when fame revealed something ugly underneath. And once Mary saw that side of someone, there was no coming back. The first name Mary never forgot was Rose Marie. To audiences, Rose Marie was sharp, funny, and delightfully irreverent. To Mary, she was a reminder that Hollywood never welcomes new women easily, especially young ones. On the Dick Van Dyke Show, their on-screen chemistry felt effortless, but off-camera, the atmosphere was charged. Rose Marie had been in show business since childhood. She knew how power worked, and she made sure Mary knew it too. Comments about experience, subtle reminders of hierarchy, little moments designed to reassert dominance. Mary, still finding her footing in television, felt constantly measured and quietly challenged. She later confided that Rose Marie seemed threatened by how quickly the audience embraced her. There was no open warfare, just a steady drip of tension that made early seasons emotionally exhausting. Mary endured it because she had to, but she never confused endurance with forgiveness. Years later, she acknowledged Rose Marie's talent without warmth. Respect, yes. Affection, no. For Mary, Rose Marie represented an old Hollywood reflex. Protect your territory by diminishing the newcomer. That lesson stayed with her long after the applause faded, shaping how she viewed power, seniority, and the hidden cruelty behind comedy. The second name on Mary's private list was James Garner, a man America adored. Garner was effortless, relaxed, cynically charming. Audiences loved him because he seemed above the nonsense of Hollywood. Mary saw something else. During their brief professional overlap, she found Garner dismissive toward the craft, the process, and sometimes the people around him. He joked about the industry in ways that felt sharp rather than playful. Mary believed humor should lift tension, not humiliate. Garner's casual irreverence struck her as disrespect disguised as coolness. She never questioned his talent. What bothered her was his attitude toward the work itself. Mary prepared meticulously. Garner relied on instinct. That difference alone wasn't unforgivable. What made it lasting was how little he seemed to care who his attitude affected. To Mary, acting wasn't about being liked, it was about responsibility. Garner's cynicism clashed with her belief that television mattered. The friction was quiet but permanent. Years later, when his name came up, Mary's tone reportedly cooled instantly. Charm, she believed, was meaningless without consideration, and that was a line Garner never crossed back over. With Ted Knight, the situation was more complicated. On the Mary Tyler Moore Show, Knight's Ted Baxter was a masterpiece of comedic arrogance. Off-screen, however, Knight was deeply insecure. Mary understood insecurity better than most, but Knight's moods tested her patience. He could be warm one day and withdrawn the next. Praise energized him. Criticism crushed him. Mary later admitted that working around his emotional volatility required constant adjustment. She felt responsible not just for her performance, but for stabilizing the room. Over time, that emotional labor wore her down. She respected Knight's talent deeply and defended him publicly. But privately, she found his neediness draining. Mary believed adults should manage their demons without making them someone else's burden. Knight didn't always do that. Their relationship never became hostile, but it never became easy either. In Mary's mind, Knight symbolized a broader Hollywood problem: brilliant performers who required others to absorb their instability. She tolerated it for the sake of the show, but it left a mark. When she later reflected on difficult colleagues, Knight's name surfaced with sadness rather than anger, and that, perhaps, was the most revealing judgment of all. By the mid-1970s, Mary Tyler Moore had reached a position few performers, especially women, ever attained: real control. Through MTM Enterprises, she was no longer simply the face on screen. She was shaping stories, setting standards, and quietly redefining how television was made. That shift changed the air around her immediately. Some colleagues admired her leadership and professionalism. Others responded with something colder, resentment disguised as civility. Mary noticed which male actors suddenly struggled to follow direction from a woman who remained polite but refused to bend. The resistance was rarely loud. It appeared in delays, half-hearted cooperation, jokes meant to undercut authority, and the practiced art of selective listening. These moments never made headlines, but Mary understood power too well to dismiss them. She believed misogyny rarely announced itself openly. It revealed itself through dismissal and minimization. The actors who ultimately earned a place on her private list shared a common flaw. They underestimated her. They mistook kindness for weakness, grace for submission, composure for consent. Mary never corrected those assumptions publicly. She understood that time was more revealing than confrontation. And over the years, she watched a familiar pattern repeat itself: men threatened by her authority recasting themselves as victims of difficult women. Mary rejected that narrative entirely. She knew firmness was not cruelty, and she never forgot who chose to pretend otherwise when it suited them. What unsettled Mary most was not the behavior itself, it was the system that rewarded it. Hollywood protected men who were difficult, volatile, or dismissive, while expecting women to absorb the damage gracefully. Mary understood that speaking out too early would only label her as ungrateful or hard to work with. So she waited. Silence became her shield. By the time she spoke privately in her later years, she no longer needed approval. Her legacy was secure, her influence undeniable, and her honesty sharpened with age. According to close confidants, Mary never delivered her judgments with bitterness. She spoke calmly, precisely, almost clinically. These weren't grudges. They were conclusions. She believed history eventually reveals character, and she trusted time more than confrontation. That patience is what makes her words so unsettling today. She wasn't rewriting the past. She was clarifying it. And in doing so, she quietly challenged the mythology surrounding Hollywood's most beloved figures. In the end, Mary Tyler Moore was never the endlessly cheerful figure many audiences believed her to be. Beneath the warmth and composure was a woman of steel, tough, incisive, and quietly uncompromising. Her smile was genuine, but it was never innocent. The 5 actors she came to despise did not land on that list because of a single argument or wounded ego, but because of repeated patterns she could not ignore. Arrogance disguised as charm, cruelty masked as humor, and irresponsibility excused by fame. Mary believed character mattered more than charisma, and professionalism outweighed raw talent. Those values shaped every phase of her life: how she worked, how she led, and why she so often chose silence over confrontation. For generations raised on television's comforting illusions, her story is a sobering reminder that the camera only shows what it's meant to show. Mary chose grace, restraint, and dignity, but she never chose denial. And once that truth settles in, both Mary and classic Hollywood come sharply into focus in a way they never did before. In the final accounting, Mary Tyler Moore stands as one of the most misunderstood icons in American entertainment, not because the public got her wrong, but because they only saw part of her. For decades, audiences were invited into her world through laughter, optimism, and carefully crafted warmth. She became a symbol of reassurance during times of cultural change, a familiar presence that made uncertainty feel manageable. Yet the real Mary lived beyond the frame. She understood Hollywood not as a dream factory, but as a system one that rewarded charm over character, tolerated cruelty when it came from power, and expected women to absorb disrespect with a smile. What makes her legacy endure is not the list of actors she despised, but the discipline it took to carry that knowledge without becoming consumed by it. Mary did not build her career on revenge or exposure. She built it on standards. She believed talent without decency was hollow, that professionalism without respect was meaningless, and that silence, when chosen deliberately, could be more powerful than confrontation. In an era when many stars burned brightly and collapsed just as fast, Mary lasted because she saw clearly and moved carefully. She protected her integrity even when it cost her emotionally. For viewers over 50 who grew up trusting the faces on television, Mary's story invites reflection. How many performances did we mistake for personality? How often did we assume warmth on screen meant kindness behind it? Mary's life gently but firmly challenges those assumptions. She reminds us that grace is often armor, not weakness, and that discernment is learned through disappointment as much as success. Classic Hollywood loved myths. Mary Tyler Moore quietly dismantled them by surviving them. She proved a woman could lead without shouting, judge without cruelty, and remember without bitterness. Her smile remains iconic, not because it was constant, but because it was controlled. And perhaps that is the most adult truth she left behind. Optimism does not require blindness, and kindness does not demand surrender. If this story changed how you see Mary Tyler Moore, or made you rethink the golden age of television, take a moment to engage. Like this video if you believe there's more truth behind Hollywood legends than we were ever told. Share your thoughts in the comments. Did Mary's story surprise you, or confirm what you always suspected about fame and power? And be sure to subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the hidden histories of the stars you thought you knew, because behind every familiar face is a story waiting to be seen clearly once the camera stops rolling.